We are moving from closed session into open, so I won't be calling the meeting to order because we've already done that previously, but I will turn the floor directly over to Councillor Parsons.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, members of council, and all residents of Tillsonburg. Today we recognize the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Attawandaron as the customary keepers and defenders of the Great Turtle Island, its waters, and its lands. We honor their long history and welcoming others to this beautiful territory. Our aim is to uphold and uplift their voices and values as our host nation. Thank you. Your Worship, it's moved by Parsons, seconded by Rosehart, that the agenda as prepared for the council meeting of June 14th, 2023 be approved. Thank you.
Questions, comments from council? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, carried. Disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none. Adoption of council minutes of the previous meeting, Deputy Mayor.
Moved by Barra, seconded by Spencer, the council meeting minutes dated May 23, 2023 be approved.
Thank you. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Public meetings. We will now move into a public meeting. We will move to the public meeting portion of our meeting. There is one minor variance that will require council to sit as a committee of adjustment. Councillor Parker.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Luciani. The council move into the committee of adjustment to hear an application for minor variance at 6:02 p.m.
Thank you. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. This is a public meeting held under the Planning Act for the purpose of hearing minor variance application A01-23. This process allows any person in attendance with the opportunity to make a presentation to the Committee of Adjustment. To start, we invite the planner, Laurel Davies Snyder, who will give an overview of the minor variance application. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Gilvesi, members of council, and members of the audience. I'm pleased to be here tonight to present two planning reports. The first one is the minor variance A01-23, and Julie is helping me bring up the presentation. Let's see. Thank you. So as Mayor Gilvesi mentioned, I'm here to present an application for a minor variance. I'll just get started. It is for 18 William Street in Tillsonburg. Thank you. Great. The proposal is to add onto the existing dwelling a total of 148.16 to be exact meters squared, so about 1,594 square feet. And that will be a garage and some living space. To do this, they've requested two variances. One is to the exterior side yard to reduce the exterior side yard to 6.1 meters, which is 20 feet, and to reduce the rear yard minimum depth to 6.8 meters, which is 22.3 feet. Here's a location map for you. So this illustrates the location of the subject property. The existing dwelling on, I can't find my mouse there. There it is. The existing dwelling on the property in red. The two existing sheds on the property, which are slated to be removed, and the location of the proposed addition. That's an approximate location. So following our process with every planning application, we do circulate these requests. And above on the screen, you can see the comments from people from different agencies. So lot grading drawings, servicing plans will be required. No comments from Public Works, assuming that there's no separate unit proposed. No concerns were received from Building Services, Water and Waste, Economic Development and Marketing, or the Tillsonburg BIA. We did issue a public notice on June 2nd, 2023, and as of this date, no comments have been received. So after analysis, we deem that the variances are actually minor in nature. They're in keeping with the general intent of the purpose of the official plan. So the land use of the property is residential. That will not be changing. It is in keeping with the general intent and the purpose of the zoning bylaw. The variances, as I mentioned, are minor to the side yard and the rear yard to facilitate this addition. And we felt that the addition is desirable and appropriate for the future development of the land and consistent with the neighborhood and surrounding area. There are conditions to the approval. So prior to the issuance of a building permit for this, the owner will submit a lot grading plan in accordance with the Town of Tillsonburg development guidelines and design criteria to the satisfaction of the town. And that the applicant will obtain a building permit for the proposed addition within 1 year of the date of the committee's decision. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I do want to comment on the presentation. So this is new. We're seeing a little mini PowerPoint. I have to say it's really efficient and it's easy for council to read and get a quick overview of the project. So I actually just wanted to point that out. So at this point, I'll open up the floor to council members if they have any questions regarding the application to the planner. Seeing that you did such a great job, we've got no questions. So at this point in the process, there's an opportunity for the public, the applicant or agent to speak in favor of the application. Is there anyone? Seeing no one. Welcome.
My pleasure.
So just make sure that we have your name on record and you can provide that to Julie that's sitting behind you. Go ahead.
My name is Eric Lockie and I am the owner of the application for minor variance. Well, it's not a,
You're in support of your.
yes, I am.
Perfect. We just want to make sure we have that on record, that you're here to support your application. That's awesome. Does council have any questions to the applicant? Seeing none, thank you very much, and make sure you leave your name with Julie. Now we open up the floor to anyone that may be opposed to this application. And I'm not seeing anyone. So just note that if anyone who appeals this decision has not provided council with oral or written submissions at the public meeting, then the local planning appeal tribunal has the power to dismiss the appeal. So I will ask, are there any further questions from council regarding this? If not, we will go to Councillor Parsons, who has a resolution.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by Parsons, seconded by Spencer, that the Town of Tillsonburg Committee of Adjustment approve application file A01-23 submitted by Megan Donkavort and Eric Lockie for lands described as Lot 23, plot 1078 S/T A66342, 18 William Street, Town of Tillsonburg, as it relates to 1, relief from section 6.2 zone provisions, table 6.2 zone provisions, exterior side yard, minimum width, to reduce the minimum width required from 7.5 meters to 6.1 meters. And 2, relief from section 6.2 zone provisions, table 6.2 zone provisions, rear yard, minimum depth, to reduce the minimum required depth from 12 meters to 6.8 meters. And to facilitate an addition comprising approximately 148.16 square meters, subject to the conditions outlined in report CP 2023-167. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments from council? Councillor Rosehart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Would I ask Jonathan on this one? The heights of the building, will the heights of the building confirm with the neighborhood? They won't be extended higher? Because sometimes those things happen.
Through your worship to the counselor, they would be subject to the conformity of our zoning bylaw height restriction. So conformity not necessarily to the streetscape, but to our zoning bylaw.
So I'm not quite understanding. So if it's a neighborhood that has a low profile, you're saying that this building could be higher? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it could be higher. And let's say the streetscape is bungalow. It could go up to, correct me if I'm wrong, 12.5 feet. I have to look. I don't know off the top of my hand exactly what the height restriction would be, but it would be subject to the zoning, not to the streetscape of the neighbors, which is generally 2.5 stories.
Thank you, madam.
Are you good, Councillor Rosart? Okay, thank you. Any further questions from council? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed, so none opposed, and that's carried. Congratulations and happy building. Councillor Luciani, you've got a resolution?
Yeah, moved by myself and seconded by Council Rosehart. The council move out of the Committee of Adjustment and move back into regular council session at 6:11 p.m.
Thank you. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Now we are moving to a planning report, CP 2023-163, and this was regarding a severance. And I will turn the floor back to Laurel.
Great, thank you. And thank you for your comments on the presentations. It is something different I'm trying, so I'm glad it's helpful, and feel free to provide further comments for what you'd like to see in future presentations. So I'm here again to present the consent application B22-58-7, B23-15-7. So the Salvation Army is the applicant and owner, and it's for 110 Concession Street West. So the proposal is to create 2 new vacant residential lots in the central area of Tillsonburg. Both proposed lots will have the same dimensions. So area of 602 meters, frontage 15.24 meters or 50 feet, depth of 45.42 meters or 149 feet onto Concession Street West. There is a retained lot as well, an area of 1.67 hectares, so 4.1 acres, frontage of 71.41 meters, average depth of 170 meters. And you'll see when you look at the map why I say average, because it's not a regular shaped lot that will be left. So this is the property we're talking about here on Concession. So outlined in the blue. This is where the Salvation Army place of worship is currently. Sorry, right here. This is the area sever. So the 2 lots I'd like to sever off. So each lot is required to have its own severance. So one is B22-58-7, the other is B23-15-7. So each lot, as I said, will be the same dimensions. And the outline in blue is what will be retained. So as you can see, this is in an existing neighborhood. And further to Councillor Rosehart's comment from the previous application, the existing houses in this area, it is residential 1 zoned, which means there is a diversity of housing types in the area. Some of them are 1-story, some of them are 2-story. We are seeing additions in this area that are going up to 2 stories. So people you're seeing some change going on in this neighborhood. So as with all planning applications, we do circulate the request for consent. These are the comments summarized that I received from the various agencies. I won't read every single one of them. We did circulate this to the public on May 25th, 2023, and no comments have been received to date. We are recommending approval of this application. I'd like to note that the applicant did come in 2022 for this application as well, but they proposed 1 lot at that time. That was approved by Tillsonburg Council. It went to the Land Division Committee and it was deferred at that point. The reason for that was because the single lot was deemed to be oversized by today's standards. So the province and municipalities are trying to encourage a bit more wise use of our limited resources in terms of land and water, and ensure that our lots provide more intensity, provide housing for more people rather than having these large oversized lots right in town in existing settlement areas. So the applicant did, and the applicant is with us tonight, did come back and propose 2 lots. So we felt that intensifying existing settlement areas for residential it's consistent with the provincial policy statement. The lot dimensions and the orientation to concession is compatible with the existing neighborhood. And as I mentioned, we are seeing some renovation, some new building in this area as well. It also transitions from larger homes to smaller homes as you move between the downtown on either end. In terms of the official plan, the proposal is consistent with the low density area residential areas and policies. And specifically in the official plan, council is directed to ensure that residential infill is consistent with street frontage, step back spacing of existing development within a 2-block area on the same street, and that development maintains the general form and function of the existing neighborhood. So this talks about fit and compatibility. So there are mechanisms in place that when development does occur, if it does, residential development, there are mechanisms in place to ensure that there is compatibility and fit with the existing neighborhood. The land is currently not zoned for residential, so a zone change would be required to ensure that residential can occur on these properties. So the next step is that this goes to the Land Division Committee, LDC, on July 6, 2023. I revise the report and Town Council's recommendation will go into that report for LTC's consideration. And that concludes my presentation. And again, I am very happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Laurel. I'll open up the floor to any questions to the planner.
I have one question.
Oh, this is not a public meeting, right?
Yep.
You have to come to the microphone.
Okay. Mayor Gillespie. I am Bernard Prevost. I live directly across the road.
Just hold for 1 minute
Okay.
because I'm just seeking some clarification from my clerk.
No problem.
Okay, so first I would, thank you, Laurel. So first I would have to open up the floor if there's anyone here to speak in favor of this application. You're speaking against the application, am I correct? Okay, so just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Anyone in favor of the application?
That would be me as the applicant.
I see you.
Oh.
Could you state your name for us? Sorry.
Yes, my name is Julia Coley Phillips. I'm the Ontario Property Director for the Salvation Army.
Welcome, Julie. I'll turn the floor right over to you and you can speak to the application.
The local ministry unit of which the church is part, as you indicated earlier in your planning, Laurel indicated, has chosen to relinquish this property in lieu of supporting housing in the community. We don't have any use for the land, and we would like to see it go back into the housing stock. And that's pretty much all the plan that we have for that. The rest of the property will be retained for church use.
Thank you very much. Does council have questions for the applicant that's online? Seeing none, I will now open up the floor. Sorry, is there anyone else to speak in favor?
This may be just a point of clarification. There are two members in the audience who are interested in the eventual purchase of the land. So I don't know if they want to speak to that at all.
They can come to the podium and put their name forward to Julie.
They
that they're
provided their
in
name.
favor.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. They can
Okay,
just
that's
give their
good.
name to Julie.
Okay.
So we'll just recognize that they're in favor of the application. Okay, so anyone else in favor of the application? So now I will open up the floor to anyone that would like to speak in opposition to the application. Welcome, and just state your name and then you can proceed.
Okay, my name is Bernard Prevost. I live directly across the road. And my only question are these lots going to be single dwelling units as compared to a fourplex or something of that nature? That's my question.
Laurel?
Yeah.
If you want to reply to that.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. So at this time, what has to happen is to build residential on that property. The owner has to go through a rezoning to permit residential. I don't believe the applicant has decided what form it is, but in the report, we did say that it conforms to current low density residential. So it's really hard to predict what will happen in the future. But at this point, that's the only information I have. I don't know if the applicant can provide any more information. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask that. I apologize.
So
I'm not allowed to do it.
basically, this is just a severance application. So this isn't the building portion of it. That'll be the next step. I would suggest though that you register your name. And if you want to keep informed, I'm sure that we can make that happen, that you can get the information once it comes on an agenda where there may be potentially a zoning change required.
Okay, thank you.
Is that good?
That's all.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here to speak that's opposed to this application? Please note that if anyone who appeals this decision has not provided council with oral or written submissions at the public meeting, that the local planning appeal tribunal has the power to dismiss the appeal. Are there any further comments or questions from council members? Seeing none, Councillor Parker.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Barras. The council of the town of Tillsonburg advised the Oxford County Land Division Committee that the town supports the applications per consent B-22-58-7 and B-23-15-7 to sever the property submitted by the governing council of the Salvation Army East for lands described as part of Lot 7, Concession 11, Durham in the town of Tillsonburg, subject to the Canadian Report CP 2023-163.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. Are there any further questions or comments from council? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? All opposed? Thanks very much. Next, we're moving on to the delegation portion of our meeting, and we have Reverend Paul Robinson from the Tillsonburg Legion with a really exciting program that the deputy mayor and I had the opportunity to get more information about and get a firsthand look at the new banners that will be gracing our town in the fall.
Madam Mayor, councilors, those attending. My name, as you just stated, is Paul Robinson. With me is Frank Moore. Right here. Hiding. Frank is the chair of the Honor Our Veterans Banner Program Committee, of which I'm a member, along with our Legion President, Diane Hodges, as you know, our Deputy Mayor, Dave Bears, representing the Lions Club, Harold Moore, and Keith Hodgkinson from the Rotary. The program is the initiative of the Royal Canadian Legion, Tillsonburg Branch 153, Varnavere, and the Tillsonburg Military History Club. With the support, as I've mentioned, of both the Lions Club and the Rotary Club, as well as that of the town, and I should add Tillsonburg High effort. We are here at your invitation, first of all, to thank the council for the grant in support of the Veterans Banner Project following the presentation that was made earlier this year. Thank you for honoring the veterans in such a very tangible way. All of the clubs I've mentioned have also contributed to this program. The Town Center Mall has also helped with the cost of some of the cenotaph. Since the project was officially launched 2 weeks ago, we simply wanted to let you know how we see the program unfolding here in Tillsonburg, as you've mentioned, to show you the banner. And also at the same time, we want to advise the residents of our community. That's a family member who's put on the uniform, whether in peacetime or in time of conflict. That being said, I defer to Frank Moore to speak to some of those details.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Paul. First of all, I'd like to give a little context of how this all started. We have to go back about 7 or 8 years. And the Tillsonburg cenotaph did not have the names of the fallen listed on the cenotaph back then. It was a project between the Tillsonburg Military History Club and the Rotary Club that did the homework on that to get the names on there and put up on the cenotaph. So that was a really great project, but there was one little problem. They're on the back of the cenotaph, and not a lot of people can see them back there unless you're having coffee at Tim Hortons. So what we did last year in conjunction with Strathallan, we had the banners displayed in the World War I and World War II banners showing the fallen. And we will be doing that again this year. And when we do that, we will have a little ceremony to recognize that and honor that. In speaking with Strathallan, they have also agreed to support us and help us with putting banners on the street. Now, the banners going out on the street in front of the cenotaph are going to be the replication of the World War I and World War II names. Because people, when you come up there November the 11th, you don't know who your fallen are. They're on the back of the cenotaph. We're going to put two banners on right in front of the cenotaph as close as we can on the poles, and then 2 banners on the other side, World War I and World War II. That people on the other side of the street can see the names of the fallen around there. So I think that will bring that area up to speed in terms of our program for November the 11th. Tillsonburg has joined the club of an expanding number of communities across Canada in doing the banner program. We're working with a promotion company near Hanover, and they have 114 communities now on their files that they are working with. I talked to him just a couple of days ago and asked him how many banners, how many communities across Canada are actually participating. That is not a known number because there's various different people doing the programs. But he estimated it's between 500 and 600 communities. Now, the first one was started in Nova Scotia. The second one, I believe, was Uxbridge, Ontario. And from then on in, it has expanded and expanded and expanded year over year. So for Tillsonburg, we want to memorialize past or present members of the Canadian and Commonwealth Armed Forces. With the support of Tillsonburg Hydro, the banners will be put up on October the 1st through to November the 12th. And that will be just for this year. In subsequent years, we are going to put them up on the week of the Legion Week, mid-September through to November the 12th. Because this is our first year, we have some timelines to get the banners done, get them manufactured, and get them installed. So it's a big thanks goes out to Tillsonburg Hydro for supporting putting those up. The banners will be put up on Veterans Way. which is Quarter Town Line and Baldwin. When Baldwin meets Quarter Town Line, we'll start at Baldwin Street and go north on Quarter Town Line. Harold Moore went out today and counted the number of telephone poles up there or poles up there, and he tells me there's 90. So that means if we have 90, we've got room. And you can put 2 banners on each pole. So you can go up to 180 banners. So the expansion can be quite great. And one of the reasons we wanted to go to Quarter Line, we have 3 schools there. And I think this is something that resonates with most of us. Have any of you been to Holland and had experienced the people in Holland and how they honor the Canadians? The children in Holland are assigned a Canadian soldier at Grosbeek Cemetery as an example, and they have to go out and research that Canadian and go back to the school and tell the school, present to the school who that Canadian was and why he fought and the whole thing. Where does his family come from? I would like to think that we could get to the point where when we have children walking up Quarter Line up there, and there's a time to pass the torch. And I believe the torch has to be passed to the younger generations so that we can continue on remembering our fallen. The program, the banner, is a 24 by 48 banner. It's a good size. There's a cost to the family of $275. The name is put on the banner. There are no ranks. Each veteran or fallen are equal in terms of their display. There are no ranks included. Now, the interesting thing is that you can put your father up, you can put your mother up, you can put your uncle up, you can put your grandfather up. But what we've also got and able to do is 2 people on the same banner. So if a husband and wife serve together, we can put both their pictures on the cenotaph, or father and son. For those that were killed in action, the headline across the banner will be "Lest We Forget." And for all others, thank you for your service. So veteran service active would include active, anybody serving today, World War I, World War II, Korea, Afghanistan, peacekeeping, Cold War, etc. The branch of service is included at the bottom, whether it's Army, Air Force, or Navy. And the sponsor, whoever is paying for the banner, the sponsor's name goes on that banner as well. Now, before we give you the details, I think we would like to have a. Now, anybody get driving lessons from this gentleman? Right there? Bill Finley. And that's what that looks like. And you see, thanks for our freedom. We've got the Canadian bridge flag, same on the back. And down here we have the Legion, and we have the Tillsonburg Military History Club on the banners. Okay. The application forms, they're available through the Tillsonburg Legion branch 153 at 16 Durham Street. The contact is Diane Hodges. She has called Diane Hodges. Her phone number with her blessing is 519-709-577. We're going to operate on a first come 519-37. Must be my glasses. Thank you, Paul. For the first year, it's going to be a first come first 50. And then next year we'll build on that. And in the third year, we'll build on that. We'll make things happen to make that happen. But right now, 50, because we have to put our production into with all those other communities. So we have to get them in there and get them produced and get them proofed and then approved. So we got between now and August the 1st to get the applications in. And we're looking for a 5x7 photo or a digital photo. And we'd like the picture in a uniform. Okay, but not showing rank. I think that pretty well covers it. Are there any questions? Oh, the other thing we've got 18 applications already. And it went into the paper, 2 weeks ago?
So there's 18 applications already at the Legion.
Thank you. I will open up the floor to council for any questions. Councillor Spencer and then Councillor Parker.
I think it's going to be such a beautiful drive down that road during that time period. You were mentioning for the families of the veterans, it's $275. But like if there were, let's say, no family, but they're veterans and people just wanted to donate, they could do that as well. And if they didn't have a picture, so maybe somebody like the Legion could provide if there, do you know what I'm saying? Like if there were no family for somebody, but somebody wanted to donate to the cause.
Yes, we're going to be setting a few funds aside for that specific reason. And we also put in the paper a request for funds. They're non-taxable receipts, but we request from the public any donations. Because I know one or two vets right now that said, this is a great idea, but I can't afford it.
Right.
And there's no reason that he shouldn't be up on the banner. So So we're
making sure on both those things. If somebody can't afford, and also, as you say, if there's somebody who we know is a veteran from this community, but there is no family member who is able to step forward, anyone can, you could sponsor that veteran, or we'll have that fund, we'll take care of that as well.
we're looking at putting a pool of funds each year, collecting enough money for a pool of funds each year, and the Legion would go to the cenotaph and take a look at the names on the cenotaph who have no known family, no known contacts, and then we've got all the information of the people on the cenotaph that we can create the banner. So that's good. Thank you for your
Awesome.
question.
Thank you. Beautiful initiative.
And the other part of her question about photos. Photos are available. I mean, I have the privilege of going soon to on the Legion pilgrimage for 2 weeks to Belgium and France. And I've been assigned a soldier to research. I have found the picture of my soldier from when he signed up. He signed up in 1914, just after the war started. 27 when he signed up, 27 when he died. But his picture was there, and his brother, who died the next couple of months later. So yeah, that's all. We'll find them.
Yep. Thank you. Any other questions?
Not really a question, but I wanted to thank you. I think that this is an awesome opportunity, and it will bring a lot of knowledge to the community, which is something that we don't have. So thank you to you and your team for the amount of work and time that you guys have put into this. This is an awesome initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To the speakers, just a question. What if you have to, if you can't find a family to have permission to put it up, but somebody in the old country, how do you get permission to put something up if they don't want it up? I guess that's my question.
Actually, right now, we don't have the answer to that. That would be something that we would have to research. We never thought about that concept. We'd like to have the approval of a family member or relative to be able to put it up. That's how the program is designed. But that would be a question. If something like that came to mind, then we, within the Legion, would search out and reach out and see how that could be done. It could be somebody that would want to honor somebody. I'm just thinking outside the dots. That could honor somebody and not be a member. We're not saying that this individual down at the bottom, the family, it could be somebody other than the family that is prepared to put this person up, and that would be acceptable to the Legion.
Yeah.
Okay. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Any other questions from council? Thank you very much. Yeah, again, I think it's an amazing program. I'm really excited to see when they go up in the fall. And I think bringing the awareness to younger generations is really going to be paramount. One thing I'm going to throw out there, and I'm actually going to throw it over to the Director of Recreation and Parks, is I've mentioned this for a number of years, but they're putting some banners in the mall. You said correct. You're going to have some banners in the interior of the mall. I've often thought it would be nice if we had a kind of like a roving museum display. And I think they've got those glass cubes where we could put an exhibit in the mall that could go along with the banners, which may house some medals or uniform or something. And it's also a way to showcase the museum as well. So I'm just throwing that out there because I'm pretty sure I emailed in about it for 4 years. So now that I'm sitting here, I'm saying it.
If whoever that might be looking after that, I would love to be the contact for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love your passion. We love your passion. We really do appreciate it. And if I can just cheat a little bit, I mentioned that pilgrimage of remembrance that I'm going on. We visit the Menard Gate, Ypres, the Somme, Passchendaele, Juno Beach, Normandy, Dieppe, all those things. And one of the expectations of those who go is that when you come back, you will present of what the story of some of those that you saw. There are stories of Canadian prisoners who were marched out and summarily executed. So I will be available after I go on that pilgrimage. If you've got a service club or a school that you've got an in with, that you want a presentation, we'll be happy to help keep that story going.
Thank you very
On
much.
that note, could I have 2 minutes?
You have exceeded your 15, and I do have a very strict rule about everyone receiving the same amount of time.
Okay.
We can really brief.
Yes, really brief. I'm going to Halifax on July the 23rd to donate the metal displays of the bomber crew that went down in Holland on July the 25th. It'll be the 80th anniversary of the downing of that aircraft. We're going to do a celebration in Greenwood Air Force Base, and we're laying a wreath in Holland on the same day.
Thank you. I hope that you'll be sharing pictures from that event that we will see online.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Thanks for the extra time.
Councillor Rosart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Bringing back thoughts of when I was over there. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Spencer, that council received a delegation from Reverend Paul Robertson as information. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Any further questions or comments from council? Thank you very much. All those in favor? Full support with none opposed. Next, we're moving on to some correspondence. We have the Monarch Butterfly Eclipse Project, Oxford County Supplementary Report, Review Place to Grow and Provincial Policy Statement, and correspondent from Doug Dawson regarding the crosswalk. I will comment on the Oxford County report. It was quite lengthy. Just a couple things to note. The province has taken the 3 severance lots from agricultural land off the table. Furthermore, it's been extended for 60 days for comment, so it won't be until August. So just to provide that. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments regarding any of the correspondence? Councillor Spencer.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I would love to send this to Parks, Culture and Rec Director, the Monarch Butterfly Eclipse Project. I think that could be a really fun fundraiser event in town. I don't know if that's something that they'd be open to. And I was also wondering with the crosswalk proposal from Mr. Dawson, was there funding coverage with that, or he's just simply asking for us to consider that? Does anybody know?
Through you, Mayor, to the councillor, I met with Reverend Dawson. He's a reverend at one of the churches here in town, and we were discussing in his living room the crosswalk for the Pride crosswalk, and he had suggested there are other options for the crosswalk. And he said, I have something that I've had for years that I'd like to introduce to the community. And I said, well, this is a great time to do it. So I said, please forward it and we'll put it on the agenda. And there's, I think he described what he would like to see, the blue on the outside for the seas and the green for the turtle, et cetera, for an alternate design for a crosswalk. He did not talk about funding for that particular one, but he just talked about a crosswalk that he particularly would like to see in the town. So take a good look at it. Hope that answers your question. There's no funding, no.
I think it's a really fun idea, and I liked the descriptions he had. I'm just wondering where the funding would come. If he had any thoughts on that, maybe you could check with him.
Thank you. With regards to you wanted to send the Monarch, over to Parks and Rec. I think that is a fundraiser. This is a fundraiser, and they want the town to purchase glasses. That's how I'm reading it, right? Solar eclipse glasses. Do you remember getting those as kids? Does anybody remember? I remember that, which could kind of be a fun thing. So I don't know if we want to investigate like what type of cost it will be. And obviously it's in next year. So if you wanted to consider like, you know, a quick one pager coming back with the budget or something on how this could be funded. I don't know. But it does look like it's a fundraiser, which obviously it's a good cause. They've been to council before. But it might be kind of a fun project, like getting the solar eclipse glasses out to everyone in the community.
If I could, I did look at their website and you don't have to do it as a fundraiser. You can charge like a fee and they have packages of like 50 of them for a certain amount. So yeah, I agree. It would be a fun day. And I do remember those old solar glasses. Thank you.
So the clerk, Deputy Mayor, you've got the motion and the clerk has a suggestion maybe for an ad. It's a,
through the mayor to Councillor Spencer, just if you're looking at doing a particular motion, so the main motion that would be there would be to receive the 3 items as information, and then the secondary for your consideration as an amendment or to be read in by Deputy Mayor would be that staff and RCP be directed to review the Monarch Butterfly Eclipse project, read the solar eclipse classes, and possible support within the 2024 budget allocations. If you're just
Okay, I to make this as simple as possible because you have it, I'll read what I have. And then I will ask you to repeat that final section so you can type it in. So I couldn't write that fast. Moved by myself, seconded by Parsons, that the correspondence from the Monarch Butterfly Eclipse project regarding solar eclipse glasses. The Oxford County Supplementary Report 2023-144, review of a place to grow, and provincial policy statement. And the correspondence from Reverend Doug Dawson regarding, make sure it says Reverend in there, regarding crosswalk proposal be received as information, and staff.
An RCP be directed to review the Monarch Butterfly Eclipse project regarding solar eclipse glasses and possible support within their 2024 budget allocations.
thank you, Deputy Mayor, and Councillor Parsons as the secondary. You're good with the way that was read? Perfect. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Next, we move on to financial results. And firstly, we're going to be discussing the fourth quarter draft consolidated financials. Director of Finance, do we have some good news to share?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have some good news, though it is in draft form at the moment until the final audit is presented to council with our final financial statements. But the report has been prepared to provide council with the draft 2022 townwide consolidated financial results. Departmental results have further been presented, including final business plan updates in the further items on the agenda.
Questions from council? So when do we anticipate the presentation of the final audit?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We are expecting to bring that to council for the July meeting, July 17th.
And all right, and just for the public, so right now this is in draft form, but there is an anticipated around $1 million surplus from last year that's anticipated in draft form. So I really can't say enough really about staff who's been working hard on efficiencies, and I think this speaks volumes. Councillor Parsons.
Yes, Your Worship, I agree. It's a good report. My question to you, Your Worship, to the Director of Finance, when this comes back in July, will we see sort of the same amount of detail at that time, or is it going to come up in more of a summary? And I'll just tell you why I'm asking the question. There's just a lot of information here. I mean, I don't know, what's 150 pages of financial, very important financial information. And I wish I had known it was there when that arrived on Thursday. I didn't start reading it till Monday, but I haven't got through it all yet. And I've had a lot of meetings this week, but this type of report, if in this detail, I would like to have in much earlier time frame so I can really have a good deep dive into it type of thing. So again, continuing my question, will we have an opportunity to ask questions about this, or will this be in front of us again in this amount of detail? Thank you.
Thank you. Through Madam Mayor. The report will not be presented quite in detail as it is today. For example, we won't be bringing back departmental business plans. So if there are questions associated with that, I encourage you perhaps to pose those to directors today. But there will be further opportunity to ask finance directors and our auditor any questions associated with our financial statements. But it will be more in a summarized form at that point.
Just further, that's great. And I will have the time, I'm sure, to read through this. Going forward, perhaps in a future year, this information probably was out of on your desk, I'm sure, a couple of weeks ago. Can we get a little more time on this next year around to have a look at this? I mean, it's a lot of information to grasp in a few days. So I just wonder if we can have a little more lead time on this in the future.
Just to note, like, we get these quarterly. So like we have these quarterly and they're usually posted with the agenda. I don't know if the clerk would have a comment in that regard, if they can be sent sooner. But we do get them quarterly.
I understand it, but I mean, it's also year end. There's a lot of year end data in here, right? So I understand it's quarterly, but this is the big quarter. This is the big one.
You can, I mean, obviously it's great to ask questions in the public forum, but recognizing time is sometimes a factor. But if you do have any questions though too, I could encourage you to email them to the Director of Finance, who would be happy to answer any questions. Any further questions regarding? No, Councillor Luciani.
Yeah, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Spencer that the report FIN 23-07 titled 2022 fourth quarter draft consolidated financial results be received as information.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Next, we're moving to departmental results. So we've got quite a few of these here. I'm going to open up the floor for questioning. Does council have any questions regarding the different departments? So these reports really do show you where that surplus is coming. I see, Jonathan, do you have comments yet? Does anyone from each department have comments?
Through you, Madam Mayor, just a moment of clarity. Unfortunately, due to some workflow and some technicalities, my operations report was not uploaded. But verbally, just to confirm, there's a surplus of $95,000 associated with our end of the year for 2022. Council will be able to review this at the next council meeting. I apologize for that, and we'll make sure that it's on the next meeting.
Thank you. Cephas, did you have anything with regards to economic development?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to highlight a couple of statistics, I guess, with respect to activity last year. Certainly, overall, the number of lead files or investment opportunities did decline from our record of 100 last year, or the previous year, I should say, but was still at our second highest level. Certainly that decline is probably largely due to the VIP, the Van Orman Industrial Park, mostly selling out the year before. So certainly it was still a strong year, and there was a number of good metrics in that regard. In terms of businesses opened, we had a record as well, as far as I can get from the records, with about 39 businesses open. We did see an increase in businesses closed as well. So 20 closed, which is a pretty big number too. So certainly there's more churn, I would say, in the economy in terms of businesses opening and closing, but the overall net effect is still quite positive. The community itself did have a number of significant wins, I would note too, in terms of the Van Orman Industrial Park and a number of those opportunities that are listed in the report. We've also seen private property move as well. So there's some good opportunities from a yoga production facility moving to town, Metalfor, which council recalls a smaller land deal. And in the commercial sector, Northgate Plaza is a very exciting opportunity for the town as well, with respect to the largest commercial space opening and being available or being made available in the marketplace in many, many years. So that doesn't mention people care and station care developments. And of course, this isn't just economic development. These are wins for the entire staff and for the entire community, really, because there's a large number of factors that have
resulted in these successes being realized. So I think those are my summary comments, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Cephas. I know that on the industrial side, you're extremely busy, and I for one couldn't be more pleased to see the investment that's coming into Tillsonburg. We're going to have new businesses coming online. We're going to have shovels going in the ground soon. So it's super exciting to see that industrial growth. Any questions or comments? We'll do it one by one to Cephas. No. Oh, sorry, Councillor Spencer.
Thank you through the mayor to the director. That record number of closures, would you say that's pandemic related, or did they give it? Do you have insight on why they're closing? Just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question through the mayor to Councillor Spencer. Sorry. Yeah, I think there's a number of factors. Certainly, I mean, there's a number of, for example, cannabis operations in here. So certainly there was 6 that opened in the town in relatively short order. That might be more than this market can support, for example. Additionally, there's been some consolidation in some sectors like insurance, for example. And then a number of these as well to note, of course, is that I do asterisk these within my report, but a number of times it's just companies changing names or ownership, and the name may change, but that really the business hasn't changed. But I'm just tracking that. So for example, yes, the mill is a great example. It was the mill Mill Tails Inn previously, now it's the Mill Eatery. New ownership that have revitalized that property, I think, and taken it further. But it's not really a loss. It's just the fact is that we're trying to capture the changes in ownership as well in our database. So I think there's a number of factors, but certainly something to keep our eyes on as well. But even, for example, with Millard's Chartered Professional Accountants, they closed, but a local entrepreneur is now has been a partner for a number of years, but taking that business in a new direction. So, I mean, some of this is exciting, even though it is a closure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? Finance fourth quarter results. Are there any further comments to the report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are no further comments.
Thank you. Any questions for the director? Seeing none, fire and rescue. I see 2 very important people in the audience. Do you have any comments with regards to the report that was submitted? Lots of information, by the way. It was very informative. Since you're here, I might as well make you come out.
You did. Thank you, Mayor. The fourth quarter report, I'm assuming we're talking about. Okay. I just wanted to say that we had a great fourth quarter. And with the funding we got for NG 901, it's really helped the growth of Firecom and moving forward and keeping up with the market in that area. And that's basically all I had to say about that. Any questions?
Thank you. Are there any questions? Lots of information in that report. Thank you very much. Next, building and bylaw services results. Jonathan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to briefly highlight, sorry, I'm just looking for my agenda, that generally we had a decrease in our operations in terms of the building permit activity, but the construction value matched something similar to what we've seen before. The major sector that improved was within the industrial portfolio. Barring that, I think something that's noteworthy for this council is that parking tickets have been gone up. So I think that's a testament to the change in the approach that we had for public works taking on some of that responsibility. And generally, we haven't had many complaints as it relates to issues with our snowplow operators. So barring any questions or comments, again, I apologize that the other operations report wasn't included, but we'll have that on the next report.
Thank you very much. Any questions regarding bylaw? Building planning? Seeing none, recreation, culture and parks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through to council. So recreation, culture and parks is, we're looking at about a $580,000 surplus at the end of 2022. Again, just in draft form. I did joke with our director of finance that perhaps we missed carrying a 1 somewhere in there, but it's looking like we generated excessive revenue from our rec services department of about $375,000 with reduction in some of the expenses in that area. That would be in part due to the increase coming out of COVID. We saw a ton of support from our residents who are applying for memberships for the health club, as well as joining for programs. A ton of sponsorships last year were generated through our staff. I'd also like to point out that Parks and Facilities did some amendments to our contracts and how we do our subcontract work. So we were able to move some of the services from contract services into in-house staff by doing hiring, which reduced some of the overhead. We were able to do a savings of about $140,000 by looking at our maintenance and the way that we service those areas of our department. And then above that would be the museum. We had a little bit of a reduction. We weren't able to hire someone, so it was a staffing reduction. So all in all, we were pretty good at the end of 2022. And just with completion of goals, I did note it that we did have a ton of goals coming into 2022 and capital projects. Of those, we had 25, I think, in total, and 16 were completed. There's 5 more that will be reported in the Q1 that are going to be completed, playground replacements, some things that we were able to get to right away in 2023. So things are moving along really well in our department, and the staff are doing a great job.
Thank you very much. Any questions to Julie? Seeing none, I think that's it. So we will look to Councillor Parker for the resolution.
Oh, sorry, my
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Perez, that the following reports be received as information. 13.2.1 Corporate Services, CS 23/11/2022, Q4 Corporate Services Department results. 13.2.2 Economic Development, EDM 23-08 fourth quarter economic development and marketing results. 13.2.3 Finance, FIN 23-08 2022 fourth quarter finance department results. 13.2.4 Fire and Emergency Services, FRS 23-07 Fire Rescue Services 2022 Q4 report. 13.2.5 Operations and Development, OPD 23-24 2022 fourth quarter building planning and bylaw services results, and 13.2.6 Recreation, Culture and Parks, RCP 23-27 2022 Q4 results.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from council? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's unanimous with none opposed. Next, we're moving on to a housekeeping matter for the BIA. It was a request through their budget process. Did you have any comment in that regard?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Most information is as contained in the report. However, just to note that per the Municipal Act, the BIA is not permitted to borrow funds. It has to be done through the municipality. Therefore, the purpose of the report is to obtain council approval to proceed with the issuance of those debentures on their behalf, as approved in the 2023 budget process.
Thank you. Does council have any questions in this regard? Seeing none, Councillor Parsons.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by Parsons, seconded by Councillor Rosehart, that the report titled 2023 BIA debenture issuance be received as information, and B, that council receives the updated annual repayment limit calculation, and C, that bylaw 2023-51 for the issuance of debentures for 2023 BIA approved budgeted purposes be presented to council for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's carried with none opposed. Next, we move to the final budget and tax rates bylaw report. I'm going to turn it back to you, Sheena.
Thanks very much, Madam Mayor. So also as identified within the report, I'm seeking council approval for a bylaw to implement the final tax rates and installment dates as approved in the 2023 budget.
Thank you. And this rate will be reflected in the August and October bills that ratepayers receive, correct? Any questions from council? Councillor Spencer.
Thank you, Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Luciani, that report titled FIN 23-10 budgetary estimates and tax rates be received as information, and B, that bylaw 2023-52 to provide for the adoption of budgetary estimates, tax rates, installment due dates, and to further provide for penalty and interest on default payment thereof for 2023 be presented to council for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? All in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. Next, we move on to a annual report from Tillsonburg Fire Rescue Services. Are there any comments regarding this report? There's a lot of packed information in here. Welcome, Chief Cascanet.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Council, the 2022 annual report in front of you is presented on behalf of all of our staff at the fire service. And quite frankly, it's just an opportunity for us to showcase a little bit of the work that our wonderful people do for obviously council, the fire service, and our community. So with that, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Thank you. I think you had some good advice about changing batteries. One thing that I want to clarify, and a lot of people don't realize this, if you have a hardwired carbon monoxide tech, like maybe it's the combination one. I know I have them at my house and they've gone off at 2 a.m. because they expire. So I just maybe if you want to put that out, talk a little bit about that to the community.
Sure, absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity to showcase some fire safety messaging every opportunity I can. So I believe what the mayor is referring to is if you do have a hardwired smoke alarm, you can't just replace it simply with a battery one. It has to be replaced with a hardwired unit. We have seen a number of these units fail, and there's a lot of them now that have the 10-year battery backup in them, and they have failed. So what I would recommend you do if it's before the 10 years is go back to where you got it and go through warranty and try and get that device replaced. But again, I would recommend that everybody test their smoke alarms and their CO alarms regularly, and it doesn't hurt to vacuum them out once a month or so too, just to make sure that they're there to save your family, and they also help us do our job too. So thank you for the opportunity to speak to that, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Parsons.
Yes, through your worship. Chief, this is a great report. It's a nice report to read. It's kind of easy to read, but there's a lot of material. And I give thanks to you and your team for all the work you've done and the work to put the report together. I encourage the citizens of Tillsonburg to try to take the opportunity to read this. I'm sure it's going to be on the fire department's website, the town of Tillsonburg's website. And I think it's really worthy of a read. A lot of good information and great job to all of your team. Thank you.
Any further questions from council? Thank you. Very informative. Go ahead.
If I could, Mayor, through you, Mayor, to council, I do really want to take the opportunity to thank all of staff for the creation of that report, because without them, we really couldn't do what we do. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor.
Moved by myself, seconded by Parker, that the report Fire Services 2023-06, Tillsonburg Fire Rescue Services 2022 annual report be received as information.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next, we're moving on to results from a resurfacing project on Bayham Drive. Am I correct? Really typo on the agenda, sorry. As I'm wondering, I'm looking at my computer and my script, it's not matching. So we're going to move on to a it's the bylaw enforcement officer appointment. Yeah. Jonathan?
Through you, Madam Mayor, this is just as it relates to a new recruitment with the retirement of our seasoned bylaw enforcement officer. For your consideration, it's for the appointment of this bylaw enforcement officer.
Does council have any questions? Seeing none, Councilor Rosart. Oh, no, sorry. It's it is Councilor Rosart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councilor Spencer. A, that report titled OPD 23-27 bylaw enforcement officer appointment be received as information, and that a bylaw to appoint David J. as a bylaw enforcement officer for the town of Tillsonburg be brought forward for council's consideration. I have a question, Madam Mayor, to Jonathan. We're bringing new people on board, and are they going to be changing hours of working, and will they be working weekends, or have we not looked at it as our town is growing?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Rosehart. Currently, the proposal is to keep it at status quo, regular business hours. If we are to look into expanding hours of operations or levels of service, we can certainly come up with other creative solutions like we did with the public works officers, but that would be a budget consideration for 2024 in terms of our levels of service directly related to these bylaw enforcement officers.
Follow up. So we're not looking at maybe balancing them off from maybe 8 a.m. I don't know what their hours are, to maybe bringing someone in late in the afternoon and working them till 7 or 8 at night.
That certainly can be a consideration for future application, but we also have to be cognizant of that each bylaw officer, depending on their status within the organization, would require oversight from a supervisor. And essentially, even if the supervisor was in isolation, that there needs to be redundancies built in so that they're protected, which would ultimately mean that we need to have 2 staff members running at the same time to cover that spread and after hours operations. And that's just to safeguard our employees and make sure that they're protected.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any further questions?
She did, yeah.
Okay, no further questions, so I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Carried with none opposed. Now we're moving on to playground equipment. Do you have any comment in that regard?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The report highlights the replacement of the library park playground. It was a new process for us in our CP. We put out 2 of the top submissions from our proposals. We received 5. It went out to the town for voting. The community had submitted 853 votes, 58% of them, so a total of 495 votes were submitted for the design you see before you. This is the project, if council will remember, that RCP received a $100,000 grant for. So the total project at $119,000, 100,000 of that will come from grant funding. So it saves us from our playground replacement program budget. Thank you.
Yeah, this is awesome, and good job to get the funding for it. There was a question floating around, and I know I read some comments when the vote was online. Is this fully accessible? Like, is the slide accessible? Or are there components that are accessible? It's just hard to tell. You'd have to almost look at every angle to figure it out, but that was one of the questions that I saw.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For playgrounds and AODA requirements, you require an Annex H transfer station to meet those requirements, as well as interactive panels and other, not just mobility concerns, but interactive panels being cognitive, visual, sound. So those elements are all incorporated in this design, as well as a fully rubberized surface. Slides themselves, if the person can get to that from the Annex H transfer stations, which is the requirement of the town or the municipality, then they can use the slide feature, but a fully accessible slide with a mobility device doesn't exist.
Thank you very much for the clarification. Are there any further questions from council? Councillor Parsons.
Your worship, moved by Parsons, second by Luciani, that council receives staff report RCP 23-28, 2023 playground request for proposal library park as information, and B, the council awards the playground tender, including supply and installation of rubberized surface to Park and Water in the amount of $119,045.44, non-refundable HST included. If I may speak to that. Yeah, through you, your worship, to the director, Recreation, Culture and Parks. I see the workmen over there working now, I believe, putting down the cement and preparing the park for some of the work to be undertaken. But I'm just really happy. There's going to be a lot of children that are going to, and families that are going to love this right in our downtown area, close to the nursery schools or the daycare schools, I should say. I remember back in the day, even my own children, and then later the grandchildren. It's a great park, and I'm really glad to see this investment. So good for you and your team. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through to council. Just to Council Parsons' comment about the current work that's happening at the library park. If you also remember during budget, we updated that the library had received a grant. So they're putting in actually a pavilion on site that they have covered out of their funding. So that is the concrete slab that's on site, as well as some raised garden beds at the back for educational purposes and a new arbor for the entryway. So that's the work you see now. This playground will be installed there as soon as we sign the PO. They're claiming 8 to 10 weeks. We'll see how that goes, but that's what the timeline is showing us at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Next, we move on to the Parks, Cemeteries and Recreation Master Plan RFP, which has significantly come in under budget. I'll turn over the floor if you've got any comments.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, RCP was very pleasantly surprised to see we received 3 submissions. This submission that we're recommending this evening is from Think Design. They've had extensive work with Parks and Rec, specifically master plans in municipalities in similar size with amenities similar to ours throughout Ontario. We're very excited to see that it is significantly under budget, about $125,000, which for our department hasn't been our history up to date. So we're quite excited about that. The other thing that we're excited about is there's been a lot of comments and a lot of feedback at our different committees, Sports and Rec, as well as Parks Beautification and Cemeteries, just with the future of our department and what's in store and how we can work with our service groups and stakeholders and patrons. So with the booming success of our residential dwellings, we know that that's going to impact our services. So we're really excited to work with this group to help guide us and create some policy development and some direction for us on how we're going to service the community and enhance what we have as amenities, but also to grow with the community as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Councillor Parker?
Through you, Mayor Galvezi, to Director Columbus. Do we have an estimated start time once this is approved and maybe an estimated completion?
Thank you. Through the mayor to Council Parker. We're hopeful that it'll start ASAP as soon as we have approval this evening. We'll be reaching out to them to coordinate the timeline. The draft would be coming back to council December. That was what we put in the tender. So you would see the draft in December 2023, and then a final version. We would need a month just for tweaking, and that would be January 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Good, great question. Anyone else have a question? Deputy Mayor, you've got the resolution.
Moved by Bear, second by Parker, that the report titled Recreations, Culture, Parks 23-26, Parks, Cemeteries and Recreation Master Plan RFP award be received as information, and part B, that the RFP be rewarded to Think Design for $78,309.41, which includes the non-recoverable HST.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any further questions? All those in favor? Opposed? That would be carried. Advisory Committee minutes. Does anyone have any questions regarding the minutes that are on the agenda? Seeing none, Councillor Parsons, you have a resolution.
Your worship, moved by Parsons, seconded by Rosehart. The council receives as information the Police Service Board meeting minutes dated April 19th, 2023. The Economic Development Committee meeting minutes dated May 9th, 2023. The Museum, Culture, Heritage and Special Awards Advisory Committee meeting minutes dated May 17th, 2023. The Affordable and Attainable Housing Committee meeting minutes dated May 24th, 2023. The Parks, Beautification and Cemetery Advisory Committee minutes dated May 30th, 2023. The Recreation and Sports Advisory Committee minutes dated June 1st, 2023. The Youth Advisory Council meeting minutes dated June 7th, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. It should be noted that the Youth Advisory Council just had their first meeting. I did see a picture floating around. It's been a long time funding. I think we put funding away for that 2 years ago. And I know that Councillor Parker was excited to see that take off. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed, and that would be carried. Oh, notice of motion. Councillor Parker has a notice of motion.
Thank you. That this is just a notice of motion for the next meeting. The council requests staff to bring a report to council for the 2024 budget in regards to the town of Tillsonburg covering the tipping fees for residential users at the transfer station.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. We'll look forward to debating that at the next meeting. Bylaws, Councillor Spencer.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Luciani, that a bylaw to authorize the insurance of debt, a bylaw to provide the adoption of budgetary estimates, tax rates, installment due dates, and to further provide for penalty and interest of default of payment thereof for 2023, and a bylaw to appoint a property standards officer and municipal law enforcement officer be read for a first, second, and third and final reading, and that the mayor and the clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign the same and place the corporate seal thereon too.
Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed, and that would be carried. Deputy Mayor, the confirmed proceedings bylaw.
Certainly moved by Bear, seconded by Parker, that bylaw 2023-050 to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held June 14th, 2023 be read for first, second, third, and final reading, and that the mayor and the clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign the same and place the corporate seal thereon too.
Thank you, Deputy. Comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. I just want to double check we've covered everything, right? Like, was there a question? We're good. Just double checking. We're going to move to items of public interest. We'll start down with Julie.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to share that there will be a ribbon cutting this Friday at 4:30 for celebration of the official opening of our Turtle Garden at the back of Memorial Park. Community is invited to attend. And I just also wanted to point out that it's exciting news that the renovation at the TCC has moved forward to include the removal of the concrete stairs, which is currently happening in the next couple of days, which has been a lot of feedback from our community, our residents, and our regular patrons. So if anyone's interested in seeing what that looks like, I would encourage them to drive by this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheena?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No updates.
No updates.
Thank you, Worship. Just to take up what the director said about the opening of the Turtle Garden on Friday at 4:30. This is the Turtle Fest weekend. The turtle is out of its shell or back in town anyways, after 3 years of hiatus due to COVID. I am pleased to be a member of the Turtle Fest committee and the chair of the BIA, so we assist that committee. And the committee has been on a terrific amount of work. It's going to be a great day. There are all sorts of vendors who are going to be lined up and down Broadway. Everything's free, a free concert at night, activities for the children in the kids zone. I encourage the residents of Tillsonburg, all council and residents of Tillsonburg, to come out this, while we have Friday at the park, as the director said. I think 7:30 at night, there's activities at the museum, the National Historic House, and all day Saturday, there's activities over there as well, if I'm not mistaken. But a lot of fun events for the family. And it's one day downtown, it's a one-day event. Broadway will be closed, so you'll have to direct yourselves off to the off-street parking. But everything's free. Nothing to pay for. You leave your wallet at home. Thank you.
Just to build on that, I believe there's a Ninja Turtle movie at the museum on Friday night. And then on Saturday morning, the museum, I believe, starts at 10 o'clock and they've got a big turtle Lego and activities for children. Turtle Fest starts at noon. Am I correct? I know there's a car show and other events going on as well. So just to get all the times pulled into it. Thank you very much.
I would just add, for more information, please check it out on the website, turtlefest.ca. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. Councillor Luciani.
I have nothing but other than saying that this is going to be a really busy, fun weekend for the town of Tillsonburg, and I look forward to seeing everybody out at Turtle Fest and the opening of the gardens as well, the Turtle Gardens.
Just following up on Councillor Parsons with the everything's free, I'm going to take the opportunity to wear my Lions Club hat here right now and say the Lions Club have been supported by the community for 98.5 years. And for the first time, the Lions Club's giving something back. So at Turtle Fest, come on out and get something to eat free. There's no charge. You're going to get a hot dog and you're going to get a bottle of water and line up and bring your appetite. And that's the Lions Club way of saying thank you to the town of Tillsonburg and thank you for the people in Tillsonburg. And while I have the phone, happy Father's Day to those who have fathers. I don't, but happy Father's Day to those who do.
Thank you. Thank you to the Lions. Everyone heard that. Free food. Clerk? Kyle? Council Parker.
Actually, I do have a question for the Director of Recreation. The water park opening, is it planned to be open Saturday for Turtle Fest?
Yes, thank you through the mayor to council. I was trying to save some of the Turtle Fest comments for other members of council. I didn't want to steal the thunder going first. So yes, we are open this weekend and it's half price. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a half price Turtle Fest special. What time does it open? Or what are the hours? Do you know? It'll probably be posted on Facebook, but that's fine. It's fine. I shouldn't have put you on the spot. The Councilor Parker believes it's 11, but I'll direct you to the town website to confirm that because I'm sure it'll be up there. Councilor Brosart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And just to further to add on Friday, June the 16th, Patty made sure I did this tonight. She cornered me and wrote this down in the book. The museum, they're going to be open at 10. They're going to have on Friday, they're going to have the Turtle and Teenage Ninja Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. I was kind of hoping for fire and water, but and they're going to have pizza, popcorn, and pop. And it's going to be around approximately 9:20 that they're going to start at dusk time. Saturday, they start at 10 to 3, and they're going to have live turtles, and plus they're going to have Lego turtles. So this will be interesting, and they're going to have all kinds of free stuff there as well. So please, everybody, come on out and let's have fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rosehart. Councilor Spencer.
So just to confirm, Councilor Parsons, is the beer tent on you too? For free? Just kidding. I just want to congratulate anybody that is a Vegas fan with the Stanley Cup. More so Mrs. Andrea Harley and our ex late Chief Hank Harley. His grandson is Nicholas Haig, who scored early in the last game. He's one of the youngest players for Vegas. I grew up with his mom and her twin sister. And so as well, I had the pleasure of being on the Tillsonburg Hospital Foundation Taste of Summer event. And we recently, as council, waived their fee at the Memorial Park. And I just wanted to let everybody know that we raised tentatively, the number is 21,000 for the local hospital for equipment. It was an amazing turnout with some great volunteers led by Foundation President Jerry Daring and Lindsay Tribble. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the update. Great information. Cephas.
Yes, thank you. I'm ready this week. There's 3 announcements I want to share, I guess, and one I think that council may be familiar with is the key ceremony, which is scheduled for the Habitat for Humanity House on June 28th at 11 a.m. So I have more information on that if you haven't received it, but certainly that's an exciting step in our community. This council has supported the housing affordable and attainable housing task force. And I think that this idea came out of that. So this is really a culmination of that efforts, and Chair Parker here, as well as others. So I wanted to make that aware. And then there's a couple of things in terms of, and there you go. Some painting going on. That's great. A couple of things too, just the lot 7 that we have in the Van Norman Industrial Park. Council, we have actually formally listed that through our Avison Young real estate brokerage. So we are doing as council's directed, I guess a 3-week type notification period, and then we'll take bids after that, and that'll be evaluated based on a number of metrics. So that's actually a listing right now. I'll send that link through in my monthly update shortly. And so we'll see where the interest goes in that. And then the last notice I do have is just regarding Woodhaven. We are moving forward with a public notice on that property. There's additional property owners, if you recall, that road allowance in behind those properties that property owners are looking to get acquire from the town, I should say. And so that notice is being circulated as well. So just want to make council aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've got a couple of things. Firstly, just a reminder, you can donate to the Veteran Banner Program. Diane Hodges, 519-709-5777. Tillsonburg remains in a level 2 water conservation. I do know that the county is reviewing it. This is not our decision. We don't know anything at this point, and hopefully we will get sufficient notice if anything changes moving forward. On Saturday, sorry, I've got one other thing, couple other things here. June 20th at 4 p.m. at the soccer club. There's an Indigenous event, and I believe Councillor Parsons is attending that, put on by the Historical Society. The water park hours provided by my clerk are 12 to 8. So remember, half price Saturday, 12 to 8. Furthermore, in Tillsonburg, and I just have a brief statement because there was a press release released by another community regarding Tillsonburg yesterday. It's regarding the drag story time that occurred this past Saturday in Tillsonburg. So it has been confirmed to me that the event, for the most part, was uneventful. No charges of any type were laid and none are pending. Other than differences of opinion being expressed, there was no reason for concern. The OPP had their provincial liaison team in place, along with additional officers from the Oxford County OPP detachment. So we do appreciate the efforts of the police that kept the event peaceful in Tillsonburg. Furthermore, I'd like to say something. As a community, we are seeing from coast to coast division, and I don't want to see that in this community because I think we live in a very caring community. But all of us are never always going to agree on the same things. We're going to have differing opinions, and that's okay. That's why we live in Canada. That's freedom. So I would encourage everyone moving forward to respect one another. We're not all going to agree. We're not all going to believe in the same things, but it's okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be special. It's okay to be exceptional. This is an amazing community. Good night. And I guess we need a resolution for adjournment, Councillor Rosehart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Parsons, that council meeting of June 14, 2023 be adjourned at 7:33 p.m. Thank you.
All those in favor?